What are the most hated cities in the United States and why? We ran a poll with the 75 most populated cities in the US and simply asked that question. What city do you hate or dislike the most, and why? We didn't give them any other information other than saying that they could leave a comment if they wanted. We received around 4,000 responses and about 200 comments. And these are the 10 that had the most votes. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton gets a bad rap, and it's easy to see why. This is a city where GPS signals go to get confused, and traffic lights feel more like they're holding a personal grudge. The local weather seems to have a personal vendetta against anyone who dares venture outside, with winters colder than your ex's heart, and summers hotter than the devil's armpit. And let's not forget the city's famous slogan, Trenton makes, the world takes, which sounds less like civic pride and more like a warning not to leave anything in your car. Trenton has an extremely high crime rate, and that's why a lot of people hate it. They talk about car break-ins, home break-ins, and the violent crime is even worse. It's actually 187% above the national average. All the comments mentioned something about crime except for a few, including this one from Mike. Been in Trenton for 11 years for work. I keep hoping to get fired so I can go back to Troy. Now I'm assuming he means Troy, New York. I'm not judging him. Maybe there's a dude named Troy back home just waiting for him to show back up. Who knows? Trenton got 103 hate votes. Number 9, New York City. People hate New York City for a variety of reasons. People not from big cities move there and they find that they can be serenaded by a saxophonist, screamed at by a stranger, and nearly run over by a bike messenger all before you've had your morning coffee. That's a day in the life in New York City. The sidewalks are a chaotic symphony of tourists walking at a snail's pace. This, of course, drives the locals crazy. But you never know who the local is because so many people visit this city. And that's part of the reason people hate it. There's just too many freaking people here. It's too expensive, and it's dirty. That being said, it's gotten so much cleaner than it was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But really, so is every major city in the United States? Well, almost. So you compare it to what's going on in the world now, not to how they looked in the 1970s. And that's one of the biggest complaints. Of all the comments we got, that seemed to be the big one for New York City. It's dirty. The cost of living is crazy in New York City. It's one of the highest costs of living in the world. Rent is so high that even the cockroaches have roommates, and you need a small loan just to buy a bagel. Hey, but at least the pizza's good, right? That's a plus. Sheila O'Connor said, there's a lot to hate about the Big Apple. The people, the price, the trash, the cab drivers. I wish I had more time because I have an axe to grind. And I'm from New York City, born and raised. I will be leaving in 3 months because I'm pregnant and I would never raise a child in this city. Suck it, New York. Her words, not mine. New York City got 117 hate votes. Number 8, St. Louis, Missouri. Some people have a love-hate relationship with St. Louis, and it's not hard to see why. The city has its share of issues, like crime rates that make national news, and a history of racial tensions that still linger. The weather can be pretty extreme too, with scorching summers and bitterly cold winters. Then there's the urban sprawl and abandoned buildings that give some parts of the city a rundown feel. The infrastructure kind of sucks as well. I mean, they've got a lot of potholes, and they've got a lot of rundown streets in different parts of the city that shouldn't be that way. All these factors combined make St. Louis feel like a tough place to love for some folks. A lot of people leave. Derry, not sure if it was a man or a woman, said, "No thanks. That is what I said to my company when they tried to transfer me to St. Louis." St. Louis got 119 hate votes. Number 7, Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas is one of those places that people either love or they hate, sort of like cat people, dog people. Beer people, wine people. Everything needs its yin and its yang. For those on the hate side, it often comes down to the city's overwhelming vibe. The bright lights, constant noise, and the non-stop in-your-face party atmosphere can feel exhausting, especially if you're not into gambling and clubbing. If that's what you're into, really, stay away from Vegas. Some people find the whole scene a bit too artificial, and its endless strip of flashy casinos and themed hotels can come off as more tacky than fun to a lot of people. Myself, I think that's part of the beauty, the tackiness of it. Add the scorching desert heat and the feeling that everything is designed to empty your wallet, and it's easy to see why Vegas isn't everyone's cup of tea, and some people outright hate it. Albert said, "You want to see a lot of people that hate Vegas? Head to the airport on Sunday morning and watch the return flights. Those people hate Vegas, but they'll be back." Las Vegas got 146 hate votes. Number 6, Chicago, Illinois. Oh, Chicago, the city everyone loves to hate. Who wouldn't despise a place with breathtaking architecture, a stunning lakefront, and a skyline that puts most to shame? And let's not forget that horrendous deep dish pizza that people could barely choke down. Every time I go there, if I'm there 3 days, I have 6 meals of this pizza. I've actually heard people talk bad about Chicago pizza. And of course, Chicago, it's unbearable in the summers with endless festivals, music, and outdoor activities. Just awful. Now, the problem with Chicago has to do with its reputation. It's got a reputation for being very dangerous. There's a few neighborhoods on the west side, and pretty much the whole south side is dangerous. But that's not all of Chicago. Chicago's always had a bad reputation because of its projects, its crime rate, and just anything else they can find to knock on Chicago. Well, it got worse when Barack Obama ran for office the first time. Political opponents brought up the fact that he's from Chicago and look how bad this place is. And that became one of those tools they used during the campaign, which is what they all do. I'm not giving them a hard time. But that's just when Chicago's bad reputation got on blast, and people haven't recovered from that. People always want to say that it has more murders than any place else. Yes, they do. But per capita, the way they measure crime stats, Chicago's not that bad. They're like 26th in the nation. Heather said, I grew up a couple miles from Wrigley Field. It was a nice part of Chicago. It didn't get terrible, but it's not as nice as it used to be. I didn't want to raise my kids there, so I moved. Chicago got 149 hate votes. Number 5, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. People often give Philadelphia a hard time, and a lot of that boils down to the city's reputation for being a bit rough around the edges. The passionate sports fan known for their intense loyalty and sometimes over-the-top behavior are infamous for things like booing Santa Claus or throwing snowballs at the opposing team or batteries. The city's gritty vibe with its blunt and straightforward attitude can also be a bit much for those that are used to a more laid-back atmosphere. Plus, Philly's had its share of struggles with things like crime and poverty, which can give outsiders a negative impression. But beneath all that tough exterior, there's a lot of heart, history, and community spirit that makes this city special for those who call it home. And the history about it's amazing, but they just have this bad reputation, and it's because of the crime, it's because of the rundown areas, and I gotta tell you, they're sports fans. I don't like going to games there. I've been to a few Philly games there, hated every one of them, because the fans are just a bunch of a-holes. Tony said, I'll take a cheesesteak and some Eagle tickets, and then I'm out. Can't stand being in that city anymore. Philadelphia got 164 hate votes. Number 4, Newark, New Jersey. Newark, New Jersey often gets a bad rap, and it's not entirely fair. A lot of people have this image of Newark as a place where dudes wear white tank tops and use the F word a lot. Not even like normal tank tops, like the undershirt tank tops. That's the image people have of Newark, New Jersey. Newark's proximity to New York City doesn't help. It's like living in the shadow of a glamorous sibling. You know, it's got all the glitz and star power over there in New York City, and then you come over to Newark, it's like warehouses and old buildings. One thing I noticed about Newark, I was there, I don't know, 14, 15 months ago. I wasn't there all day, I just a couple hours. But I noticed that I didn't see any homeless people at all. I mean, I wasn't out looking for them and going in alleys or anything like that. I'm used to how it is here in Portland, Seattle, and down in Los Angeles and San Francisco, where they're just everywhere. I didn't see one. And I know someone's gonna be in the comment section going, oh, they're there, trust me. Yeah, we know they're there. They're just not everywhere like they are in a lot of cities out west. Alex said, if it wasn't for D's nuts, I would have left years ago. There it is again. What is going on with New Jersey? Every time New Jersey pops up about something, someone leaves some comment about how I gotta go see D's nuts or something like that. What is going on? Newark got 177 votes of hatred. Number 3, Los Angeles. Yeah, there's a lot to hate about Los Angeles. I grew up there, well, one of the suburbs, not downtown LA, but I've worked downtown. It's just, the city, it's just too big. That's all there is to it. Too many people, too spread out. The freeways are a nightmare. Anytime you go to a gas station, someone asks you for money. Homeless everywhere. Crime isn't as bad as a lot of people think, but they do have some crime. You know, I always hope Los Angeles is going to turn that corner and just get it together. I mean, that city makes a lot of frickin' money. They should have been able to fix many of the city's problems years ago. Now, I get it. That's a big order to fill. I mean, this is a city that has almost 4 million residents. Then the metro area, it's like 13.2 million. So there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of people. And like I always say, more people means more problems. Shelley Haas said, I didn't like paying top dollar to sit in 90 minutes of traffic twice a day to go a distance that should take me 20 minutes on a bad day. Yeah, that's not far from the truth. If you're someplace else in the country and you think that's an exaggeration, it's not. I used to work just outside of downtown Los Angeles on the west side, and I would go to my house in Redondo Beach, which right now is a 30-minute drive down the 110 freeway. It's almost 10 o'clock at night. That's about what you should expect. Very little traffic. That trip 5 hours ago during rush hour took 87 minutes. Los Angeles, California got 191 hate votes. Number 2, Miami, Florida. Miami has a reputation for being all about flashy cars, expensive nightlife, and a whole lot of attitude. The traffic can be a nightmare, and let's not even talk about the humidity. I mean, it's Miami. It's like walking through a sauna half the year. Miami can also feel like it's trying a little too hard to be glamorous. There's also a divide between the touristy spots and the real Miami, which can make it feel a little superficial. Donata said, and I hope I pronounced that properly, "I hate Miami. Every guy you meet is going to be," and she has that in air quotes, "to be a big producer, a DJ, a rapper, whatever. They probably live in a one-bedroom apartment with 3 other dudes. It's all fake. I hate Miami." Miami got 207 votes of hate. All right, before we get to number 1, did you know we have another channel called The Sweet Life for Briggs? It's a travel channel where we just go over all the places we stay and the cabins we stay in on cruise ships. There's a link for it down below. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Detroit, Michigan. You know, I could just leave that one right there. I mean, Detroit's been a nightmare forever. I feel sorry for it more than I would hate it. That's me personally. But I know a lot of people feel like the city's just failed them. That being said, recently they've made some serious progress. But you know, it takes years to shake a reputation like that. They could turn the city around tomorrow and it'll still take them a decade to lose half the reputation they have of being a post-apocalyptic city. Denny said, "Detroit U-Hauls ran out of trucks years ago. I don't think one's ever come back." Detroit, Michigan got 231 hate votes. All right, that's today's video. If you enjoyed this one, you'll probably like one of the videos being suggested to you right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.